Yes, just 1 day left to the Eagles 2025 NFL Draft. A lot to discuss here, and we're always hearing the Eagles are interested in this guy and this guy and that guy, and this person said this and this person said that. All these mock drafts. It is starting to come together now on the few guys they really have interest in that first round. We hear Daniel Jeremiah on John Clark's interview on possibly the main target in that first round the Eagles want to aggressively trade up for. If somebody starts to slip down that draft board, we're going to be talking about that. A pre-draft visit for one of the best safeties in this draft, but there's a little bit of a concern. And we're going to be talking about Dallas Goedert because the team has come up with news on them needing a tight end pretty badly, whether it's through the draft or maybe a trade through the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to be talking about that in this video, so let's get straight into it.
A killer buried, but not dead.
Darren, we better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope you're having a fantastic day today. This video is sponsored by BetUS, so definitely go check them out if you guys have not. Appreciate it so much. We have a lot to discuss here. Because rumors are just pouring out. And trust me, once we get the draft day before the draft starts, okay, it's going to get even crazier. And a lot of rumors are going to be pouring out like crazy. So we're going to be talking about it. Now, one player that has been talked about today that the Eagles have high on their draft board, okay, is Jaylen Walker from Georgia. Okay, this is a guy that's edge rusher, could play outside linebacker, would fit Vic Fangio's intricate multiple front defense. Like I said, great pass rusher and could do a multitude of different things for this defense. Think would fit it really well. Did an early video on him a while back when really we were starting the draft process and who we were really looking at, and he definitely catches my eye. There's no doubt about it. Now, Daniel Jeremiah had some things to say on John Clark's podcast of the situation. Now, this is what he had to say. Now, first, he said that most likely Howie Roseman will trade up in this draft, need be, always be aggressive. As Eagle fans, we know this. Okay, so this is what he had to say. He said, "I think there are so many people that want to get out in this draft. They are trading back. What has Howie done his entire career? He zigged when everyone else has zagged, and he's going to be able to see if we have a premier player start to slip. Man, they're armed. They're armed and ready to go. I'm sure we get it because we always talk about what could happen there and what the predictions might be. It's impossible to make prediction of who's going to be there at 32, but I will make a prediction that if for some reason people overthink Jaylen Walker like they overthought Nolan Smith, he's not big enough and the size. If he starts to drift and drop, I'm like, oh my gosh, they could just go do the exact same thing all over again." Unquote. Okay. This is what we kind of been talking about this entire offseason. We know that tight end, there's a hole there, but they might not make the aggressive push for a tight end in the first round. Safety obviously is a big possibility if defensive linemen are really starting to move late teens to early 20s. The Eagles might trade up and draft the best guy a few spots where it's not going to cost them that much to get a Malachi Starks or an Amon Wari or something like that in this draft in the first round, like I said. So I think they have done their due diligence. I think this is a player, like I said, would fit in Vic Fangio's system. I think this is, edge rusher is going to be an interesting, not a competition, because you have a good player in Nolan Smith, a player that's come into his own, and Jalix Hunt, once he hit the playoffs. You signed Ojulari, that could have a big year. Joshua Uche, that got traded, during the year last year to KC, and had to learn a very intricate defense with Spags, and Spags even said that Uche just couldn't learn everything, and he really was stunt his growth a little bit, kind of just getting used to the defense. So he didn't play much for Kansas City last year. So And Bryce Huff is on a contract right now. We don't even know what's going on, if they're trying to dump it, if they're trying to get him off the team. And, it would almost call us crazy right now to draft another edge rusher. Okay, we've been linked to Walter Nolan. We've been linked to, obviously, Amon Wari, Malachi Starks, you name it. They've been linked. James Pierce Jr. They've been linked to a lot of guys, even though that some guys haven't had pre-draft visits, like James Pierce Jr. They have met with them prior, combine wise, meeting them beforehand a couple times. So there is a lot of interest in defensive line here. I think we can all agree on that, as well as we've been looking at a couple other positions that are kind of empty right now. But to have a Jaylen Walker that finally you can have a guy that can, if you need somebody as an outside linebacker, you can use him there. As an edge rusher, you can use him there. So there's a bunch of different things that they could do. And who knows? You might have an injury in training camp where if Walker is there, he was going to play some outside linebacker. Now he'll switch to an edge rusher. So there's always some movement and different combinations you can make here. But I think the Eagles are just going to see how this board is going to fall. And if there's a player that just slips just a little bit, and the Eagles and Howie Roseman are sensing this in the war room, they're going to make a trade up for one of these guys. And Jaylen Walker is one of my favorite players of this draft, because I feel like with Vic Fangio, he's going to make him a superstar. A total superstar. There was times where Nolan Smith was going into coverage as well, and Vic really started to really just make him a main pass rusher, really to work on that pass rush and just get better every single week. And look what happens. He goes to the playoffs. He has, 4 or 5 sacks, most from a single Eagles player in history in the playoffs that's made multiple sacks like that. Never happened before. So a lot of players are coming into their own right now, especially young players. If you get a hand-picked pick by Vic Fangio, I think you have to have a lot of faith in it. And I like guys that can play multiple positions on the defense, especially if they're, there might be other teams that don't think they're valued as a first-round pick, maybe a late first-round pick. If Jaylen Walker starts to go down that draft board a little bit, Howie's time to pounce on that, pause, it might happen. So I thought that was a really interesting interview. With Daniel Jeremiah on John Clark's podcast thing, which was really good. So we're hearing different players from Daniel Jeremiah. So I like to hear his side of things. Obviously, he knows Howie Roseman personally. He was a West Coast scout for the Eagles, literally the last, for a while ago, for a few years. So he knows how this team kind of runs itself, with the trenches, and you kind of build out from the trenches and back. So, this draft is probably one of the most exciting drafts, and the Eagles have picked 32. It's absolutely insane. The buildup is going to be worth it. And just wait for that trade up, because I think it's going to happen. If a player starts to slip, we're all going to be yelling for that player, and we have a feeling it might actually happen. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Now, we're going to be talking about a pre-draft visit, okay? Kevin Winston Jr. from Penn State, okay? I think this is a guy that only played 3 games last year due to a knee injury, so a lot of teams are worrisome right now. No, I don't know if the Eagles just brought him in just to do their due diligence on him because he was close by, and a lot of people said he was just close by. Obviously, he doesn't live far away, so this was an easy pre-draft visit to do last minute, the week of the draft, or is there legit interest here? I don't know if I'm ready to draft a guy on the second day coming off of a knee injury. I'm very worrisome of that, okay? Obviously, we talked about his counterpart in Jaden Reed, which is mostly a 4th to 5th round pick safety that's out there. They've looked at a lot of second-day guys, okay? Really, some third-day guys as well. So if you're talking about Malachi Starks, you're talking about Adam Wari, you're talking about Andrew Makuba that the Eagles brought in as well. That could be an early second day. There's going to be some safeties. There's a good 5 really stout, really good safeties in this draft. And if you want to take a chance on Kevin Winston Jr., it's really tough for me. I understand that, back when we drafted Sidney Jones in 2017, coming off of an Achilles injury on the last play of his pro day, and that was absolutely horrific. And the Eagles were supposed to draft him in the first round if he was healthy. So the Eagles ended up getting him at pick 52 in the second round. And yeah, we didn't really get the cornerback that we wanted, and that's what you get for getting a guy coming off a serious injury. This guy had a knee injury, so I don't know if it was anything really serious. Obviously, the Eagles are going to do a lot, have probably done a lot of homework on him, as they do, as a lot of teams do. Look at a lot of background, talk to the doctors, see how he is. And I don't know if he had a local pro day, if he worked out, if he didn't. I'm not sure about any of that other news. Honestly, this guy would be a first rounder. Okay, we all know this. But could slide to the second day. But I think there will be value here if someone doesn't take him by the end of the second round and he makes it to the third round. I think there's enough value there to say, let's take a chance on him with with our third round pick and just see what happens. I'm just not on board right now to take a guy off an injury like that, unless it happened. Obviously it happened a while ago, so he's probably fine. But you always get worried about injuries, especially knee injuries. If it was a pec, if it was a shoulder, or if it was something like that, I really wouldn't worry about it. All I look for is he coming off an Achilles, an ACL, an MCL, a neck injury? Those are big ones in my opinion when it comes to, guys going into this draft. They're going to move down the draft boards a little bit because, they're coming off an injury that, that teams are not going to really try to draft these guys too high. So I know a lot of people have been talking about him, but I don't know if I'm really touching him on the first day. Maybe not even the second round. And if they do it, then okay, then maybe there's something we don't know that they do know on some of the background. But he's absolutely fantastic. And if he's completely healthy and he was ready to go, I mean, take that injury away and I'm not worried. And this guy is a beast. So we'll see what happens with Kevin Winston Jr. And we're going to be seeing where the Eagles are going at safety, and where they're going to target one. So we'll see what happens there. Now, I want to talk about Dallas Goedert. Okay, last thing. Because we kind of been waiting around a little bit. Nothing has happened yet. But we had some news from the Indianapolis Colts, and obviously the former offensive coordinator for the Eagles, Shane Steichen, did say that they're looking for a tight end. That the team is looking to add a pass-catching tight end, possibly. Says via the draft, but who knows? Okay? I don't know where they're sitting in the draft, if that's going to be one of their most important signings that they need in the draft of who they're looking at. But possibly, you never know. You can always bring Goedert and Steichen back together again for a specific trade for some draft capital, which I don't think, from what I'm hearing, I don't think it's going to be draft capital for this year. It could be a couple picks. It might actually be a couple picks, which is pretty good. So we've always listed the Colts as a favorite because at tight end, they literally don't have anything right now. And are they ready to sign Dallas Goedert to a big contract? Because obviously that's what he wants. That's, Trey McBride got paid $43 million a year, and Goddard's just sitting there like, hey, I just won a Super Bowl. I hit 30, I'm 30 years old right now. I might be missing 5 to 8 games, but I can start for a team right now. And maybe that's why the Eagles are having a little bit of trouble finding a trade partner. But because it's quiet, I feel like potentially, and this isn't first round trade bait, could possibly be, but I think he'll be trade bait somewhere in this draft for the Eagles to make an aggressive trade up, whether it's in the second round or if I'm not hearing nothing about Dallas Goedert getting traded somewhere, or there's not even a list of teams really making calls besides the New York Giants that we heard about, I'm thinking that draft day is going to be the day where they move him and they get some picks that way to kind of spice up the deal a little bit and, move up. And, instead of giving away more draft compensation, you give away a player and less draft compensation, which would be good. It would be a fair deal for the Eagles. There's no guaranteed money on Dallas Goedert's contract, so it makes it way easier to trade him. If he was due like 20-something million this year, yeah, it's hard to trade a guy that's due a certain amount of money that another team has to take over. If he's got no guarantees on his contract, which he doesn't, the trade makes it so much easier. But why hasn't it happened yet? And I think partially it's because I don't think he's coming back. If he's not traded during the draft, it's going to happen after the draft sometime, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to believe he's not going to get traded on draft day. Just saying. Or by the time you watch this video or tonight or on draft day before the draft starts, he might get traded. Who knows what happens? But we're going to see how it goes and see what happens there with Dallas Goedert. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news every single day. I'll be streaming the draft all 3 days on a live stream. Definitely come by, say hi, and we'll be doing our thing as usual. And definitely like the video because it helps out tremendously. Who do you guys think is the big pick in the first round, man? Do you think it could be a guy that's starting to move down the board like Jaylen Walker? And there's just so many different possibilities at this point. It's not that I think the Eagles want to go after specific guys. It just depends on where they think they can trade between this pick to that pick. If they can make the trade, is it too much? And what players are getting taken off the board early, So a significant trade up, sure. Is it going to be absolutely astronomically just in the top 10 or top 15 or top 20? Probably not. But you never know with Howie Roseman and what he likes to do. Eagles got a lot of ammo and picks between this year and next year. 10 picks in this draft, 12 picks in the draft next year. They can't use obviously the comp picks. They can use the conditional Hassan Reddick pick. That's really all they could really use. So they have some compensation for next year. They can sweeten the deal a little bit if that's what they want to do for a trade up. If they start seeing somebody slip just this much, and we'll find out what happens. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. And we're going to see what the Eagles do and what Howie Roseman is going to do. Everything relies on this draft, 100%. This is what we've been waiting for. This is our moment of what we do best is draft. And I can't believe I'm saying this because we've been doing it so well the last few years. And, this was a team that never really hit on multiple draft picks, and they've been doing a fantastic job. So other than that, guys, pretty much it. I will see you guys on the next one. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Tell me your thoughts on everything. I'll see you guys in the next one. Shakes, what up, follow slide. Peace out, guys. Hey.